The monorail serves as transportation between the low-level access sectors of the UAC complex and the priority access research facilities. Have all identification and security clearance data prepared for inspection.
Rise, quoth Lord Yalpan. There is no death for you.
Alright, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Doom 3, and after taking a brief detour in the recycling plant, we finally arrived at the exciting monorail. And the monorail, this is a great level, I love this one. It's actually not too long, and straight off of the bat we can locate a storage cabinet that we don't even have to open ourselves, because somebody else did it for us. Also, a BDA of Osama Harding, who is an engineer, I believe. You can also see that there is a gentleman sitting inside the monorail over there, taking in his surroundings, observing the great detail that Doom 3 possesses. I mean, for a game that came out in 2004, it's still a pretty nice looking one. It's got a lot of them polygons. I don't know. It's a pretty good looking game. It does have a couple of really blurry textures in some places, but I'm going to assume that was just hardware limitations at the time. But seriously, if you understand the modding community of this game, you can get some really good textures going. Stuff like the Wolfenstein, not the Wolfenstein, what was it? It was the Wolfen texture pack, I believe it was called, and the Sick mod. Those are two pretty popular mods for this game that make it much greater in graphical fidelity, so I'd recommend you check those out at some point.
Who are you? What are you doing? I was waiting here on the train for my partner. He went to investigate what was going on, but he never came back. And now I don't know where he is. I don't know what the hell's going on. But I bet it has to do with those artifacts we were digging up at Site 2. I bet they're somehow connected with those things in the Delta Complex. The Delta Complex isn't safe. You're crazy if you're going there. Look, I don't think this train is safe either. We don't know what's ahead.
I'm pretty sure you just contradicted yourself because we both know that the Delta Complex is up ahead, but whatever. I'm sure he's just a lost little confused puppy in this current state of being. He doesn't have a gun. I got a whole bunch of guns. I could probably lend him one. Like, I could even lend him my pistol and he'd probably do fine, but nah, them scientists, they're a little too pacifistic in this day and age. That's why we need the Marine squads on the job. So let's go do our job right now. Shoot some bad guys, get the girl in the end. If there are any more females on this base besides the one who lost half of her skull earlier on, it's not a pretty sight. By the way, at the beginning of the level, you may have noticed that there was a small area underneath the platform, which had absolutely nothing of value inside it. It's different at this particular junction. It actually has items inside. And, more importantly, there is a special enemy spawn over here, which is triggered by collecting this health kit. And once more, I'm going to employ the tactic of damaging myself with a grenade, ever so slightly, and there we go. That's just enough. So it's going to cause 2 spiders to appear over there, and 1 spider behind you. On this side, I think. Yeah. So, straight through this door, you may have noticed at the very beginning of the level, there was a cutscene where we got to see a guy get transformed demonically into some sort of horrible, evil creature that has spectacular muscles. That's this guy. This is Zombie Commando. And Zombie Commandos, you may remember them from the classic Doom 2 days, where they were equipped with chain guns, and they were some of the worst enemies in the game, because they could hit you from across the map. They were effectively snipers, and that just made them awful to fight. In this game, you have 2 variants of commandos. The chain gun guys are back, but we won't be seeing them until the next level, and the first variant we encountered are slinging tentacles.
Destroy all who oppose.
Death to all who oppose me! And the Tentacle Commandos, there's actually an intelligent strategy you need to use to defeat them. And that is, believe it or not, by crouching. So, if you crouch at the second of their whip attack, you may be able to avoid taking damage. Of course, there are going to be some occasions where they decide they could just leap towards you and then their melee range gets ridiculously wide, but as long as you crouch and sort of move backwards like this, then you may be able to avoid incoming damage. So we just collected a personal data assistant of a guy, I think his name was Ross. Yeah, Gary Ross, it says on the little sticky note in front of me. Be sure to collect that one, it's actually very important. We need it in order to gain some security access for something. So there's a guard all the way out there. This place, kinda has a lot of explosive barrels. And I'm gonna be using some of them explosive barrels to my advantage. By the way, these commandos, it is possible to kill them in a single shotgun blast. You sort of have to aim for headshots, which I'm still not the best at when it comes to these enemies, because occasionally they'll try bounding towards you, and it's just a little bit awkward to try and hit them at certain points. And now there's gonna be a guard all the way out there. It sounded like he spawned to the right of me, which is a little bit awkward. Also, there's a rocket launcher right... Good God, you are angry. Stop throwing barrels at me. I'm trying to explain. There was a rocket launcher in my face, and I needed to show people that it existed, so that way they'd have another 5 rockets in their arsenal. These things are important and they need to be explained, so I would appreciate it if you stopped tossing barrels at my face. It is inconsiderate and rude of you. Walk into this explosive barrel. Come on, yes, I know you're having a bad day. Everyone is here at the UAC. Boom! I love it when there are explosive barrels. Anytime there are explosive barrels in just this whole wide open area, it's just... Man, I wish more developers did this, because it feels like you're using a different tactic to kill enemies besides shooting them with guns. It feels like you're using your surroundings to your advantage. Also, another detail of these commandos is that they have incredibly lengthy spawn animations if they teleport in. So, if you just want to run up to them using your old chainsaw, then that's an option. So there's a little crawl space back here, which has some interesting items. Just got a clip, and it's got some armor and a health kit. And supposedly a rather unsettling noise, but I like to think it was just a herd of giant bats swimming about somewhere inside the UAC facility. So there's gonna be another whipping tentacle commando out there, and I'm gonna see if I can kill him with my pistol. And if I remember correctly, it should take like 10 bullets or something, if you manage to land consistent shots. Whether or not it's headshots, I don't really know, but those commandos don't have an exceptional amount of health. So, you shouldn't be in too much trouble. Now, you may have just heard, yes, there are spiders that have just spawned in, and it might look as though they're headed straight in your direction, but truth be told, as long as you don't leave this area, no spiders will ever make it up here and try to assault you inside the security booth. So here's a personal data assistant of a Charles Holly's, and this is just used to open up the storage cabinet right over here, and code for this is 142. You can locate this cabinet code inside a remaining ammunition email. And I would like to correct myself on something I was blabbering about in the previous episode. I stated that there were only rocket packs that came in packs of 5, but there are also these, which give you 10 rockets at a time, and just to demonstrate, yeah, 10 extra rockets added to my inventory, so I apologize. I don't know this game as thoroughly as I should. Just bear with me here, guys. Also, in order to actually proceed to Site 2, we need to open the airlock junction. And there's a security code for this. That PDA we picked up of Gary Ross at the start of this giant storage chamber is 142. Wait, I'm mistaken. It is 826. 826, guys. Just bear with me. I'm not a robot, and I make mistakes, because I'm not a robot. I apologize for this inconvenience. I'm gonna snipe at all them spiders using my pistol. There's actually more than the 2 we saw running through the entrance. But, thankfully, they are painfully slow and they don't accomplish much. I guess this area could have been made a little bit more scary if they were using something like Lost Souls or, God forbid, cacodemons, but such is not the case. This is the way the developers designed the level, and, oh, you survived that. Hang on, I just need to reload my pistol real quick. Okay, that should be all of the enemies in this area. By the way, a little crawl space down here with a couple of extra items, including that health kit. So if you decided to shoot explosive barrels right next to you a couple of times throughout the level, there are methods of patching yourself up. And with that, we're pretty much done in this place, and oh my god, T. Ryan was eaten by a spider! That's a shame. It's a shame he didn't leave behind his personal data assistant, because I would have liked to know a little more about that guy. But what's done is done, so let's just activate the monorail once again, bid our farewells to T. Ryan's corpse, or sort of dismembered corpse. I guess maybe he's Torso Boy the Second. We may as well just refer to him as that. Well, that's inconvenient, but luckily, we have main character immunity, so we can just climb straight out of this disaster, and then move on with the rest of the level. Carefully aiming our machine gun at absolutely nothing, and then switching to our shotgun involuntarily, because the game just likes to do that sometimes. I don't know, maybe it was just for cutscene purposes. I mean, he tries. You gotta admit, he's putting his all into reaching us. But you can still kill them with a single rocket, so in the end, I don't know. He could have given it a little bit more of that effort stuff I'm gonna go with. By the way, that place where he emerged from is actually housing a health kit. All the way out here, and I think there's also a clip here as well. So this is a special case of the level where if you decide to jump down, it kills you instantly, because technically your path is blocked by, well, a giant piece of wreckage. So just don't jump down there. Instead, head towards the door to the right, and we find a couple more spiders. And if people are curious as to whether or not you can use the chainsaw against spiders, you could sort of do this. It's not my preferred method because spiders are able to jump at you, and anytime there are jumping spiders in video games, I am terrified. But if you can catch them on their toes like this, then yes, in theory, you can kill them with a chainsaw. But you could see I was getting my ass handed to me by a spider who was just sort of swiping at my legs, which is obviously why I would not prefer to use that tactic now and then. Instead, I'm just going to use our primitive guns to take care of spiders, because that's just the person I am. However, when it comes to dealing with commandos, I kinda like using my chainsaw instead, because it's quick and efficient. So after you kill that commando, if you kill him too early, by the way, that actually cancels out these extra enemy spawns, which is why I neglected to shoot my plasma rifle at him. But exploiting their incredibly lengthy spawn animations, you could just saw their helmets straight off, and then they'll feel so humiliated that they just collapse. Another little secret stash down here containing a bunch of plasma rifle ammo, and since I didn't use the plasma rifle a whole lot often in the last level, I feel like using it here. So, there's a quick zombie over here, and I'm just gonna... Okay, I'm not gonna let the zombie get hit by the fireball, because he arced that so perfectly it decided to hit me instead. That's unfortunate. Thankfully, however, we've got health kits. And we got magazines such as Guns and Nachos, Martian Science, and Booty. By the way, this... I'm really not a fan of this warning, this alarm, so I'm just gonna disable that real quick. This door has this guy behind it, but thankfully... the knockback of the plasma rifle is pretty strong. I guess one of the reasons why I've been neglecting to use the plasma rifle is that I find it's just... it's sort of meant to be a medium between the chain gun and the machine gun, I've assumed, but in the end it's actually just an incredibly powerful weapon overall, and almost to the point where I just really feel kind of like it's a cheap method of killing most enemies simply because it does it so efficiently. Like, oh my god, the plasma rifle is so powerful in this game. Even if it's not as powerful as its classic counterpart, it's still a fairly formidable weapon, and the fact that they give you so much ammo... ugh. Just the way the levels are laid out in this game, I'd like to assume that there was once a means of perhaps doing a custom level select where you could spawn in at a certain point in the campaign if you wanted to, and that's probably why there are so many ammo packs lying around, but that's merely an assumption. So that PDA we just picked up, we need that to actually exit the level, otherwise it's basically impossible, so be sure to collect that one. It also contains some important information regarding 2 storage cabinets at the very end. I'm gonna use my grenades right here on these couple of imps, and with that, let's move across the bridge, observe the wreckage. Yes, I know. It's rather humorous, isn't it? And watch out for that guy out there. Behind you is going to spawn just an imp. It's no big deal. I mean, if it were something like a Revenant or a Cacodemon, I'd have reason to be frightened, but Doom 3 loves its imps. In fact, the cover art of this game is actually not of an imp, but I'd like to think that it was once an imp, and that it should have been an imp in the final design, because it just makes more sense to me. It's like the mascot enemy of this game. So, the game just said that there's an automated turret gun activated out there. It's a particularly loud indication, so I would recommend that you perhaps avoid moving in that direction, because the turret gun cannot distinguish between ally or foe. So just stand over here, and you should not get hit by the turret gun. Instead, the turret gun is meant to take care of enemies. However, it's not doing the greatest jobs right now, because I think it's actually trying to focus on an imp who is just in like the perfect position of taking cover. So yeah, not the finest demonstration, but if we stand over here, we can watch it dispose of that imp with relative ease. It takes a little bit of time because it's probably not perfectly accurate, but there you go. So once you pick up that PDA, then your security clearance will be accepted, and that will disable the automated turret guns. Open this door, get on the floor, and everybody recite the PDA code for these cabinets, which is 364 on both of them. So, open both of them up. 78 and 79, get some nice plasma rifle ammo. We're pretty good on everything at this point onwards. Thank you, Mr. Turret Gun. We saw you at like the very start of the game, but you did absolutely nothing. But now you can see it is actually functional, and it destroys enemies. And you, of course, which is why we have to disable it. That is the end of the monorail level. So sad we didn't get to ride on the monorail any further, but it doesn't matter because we have reached the Delta Labs.